6 over 60. Living a great life at a great age. Brought to you by Northern Tier Insurance, Ecumen Detroit Lakes, and UCare.
Hi, welcome to 6 over 60. I'm here with Debbie. Hi there.
Hi, Erica.
She is a resident here over at Ecumen. And we invited her on the show to be a guest because she likes to keep people active. And you're active yourself, right? What kind of stuff do you do?
Well, I like to exercise. I like to walk, and I just like to go. I mean, if somebody's ready to go and do something, I'm ready to go. You know, my mom was always active, and my family's just always been active people, and I see the longevity in them, and so it's like, okay, I have a goal to keep.
Yeah, and one reason that Ecumen suggested you've got to meet Debbie is because you're good at getting people active and engaged in activities. Like they have exercise set up, they have bingo, but you get people to join and go for lunch. And so what do you find that people tend to do when they get older? Do they, like, I hear it all the time, people are like, oh, now that I'm getting older, I can't do this. And I'm like, speak for yourself. Like, you need to get out and do stuff. And it gets harder because we become more isolated and it can be lonely.
Yes.
So, as kids grow and things change.
Well, I think a lot of them here is, they're not driving anymore. They don't have their cars.
Yeah, that's a big thing.
And so, we do have the Becker County Trans Bus and stuff, which a lot of, people do, around town use. But I think a lot of it is they just don't feel like they can just pick up and go. I still have my car, and so, and they don't feel comfortable asking people, well, can, you take me, or can you do this, or, they don't want to depend on other people, because we've always been independent, doing our own thing. Right. And now they don't have their cars, and so, so that's why, we go monthly lunches, and that's growing, everybody's just seeing what we're doing.
Right.
And it's like, oh, that looks like fun and stuff. And we have a great time. I think the last time we had 18 for lunch, so we're getting more and more all the time.
So you're organizing just within your own friend circle and people just to, get engaged, be out in the community. So what are things that you do? Like I can already tell talking to you that you really like people. And
yes.
So what do you, if you could give advice to anybody, what would it be to stay active and stay social?
Well, even though, I'm like a people person, it takes me a while, being by yourself to kind of take that initiative, to go out and do things. It's always better to have a buddy to go with you, the security blanket and stuff. And so, I guess I try now, because knowing the experiences I've had and how I felt, I go, and we get, a new neighbor or whatever, I try to be that support blanket, I guess, and say, oh, come on, try it, if you don't like it, like we do bingo, and many people say, well, I don't play bingo. Well, I don't really do the traditional bingo, it's like I have read, with the dementia, people not, we need to use our minds, read and do that kind of stuff, which I like to do that also. But I, good old Google, and I've Googled bingo patterns and stuff. So I always change it up, and so like this one here is called a parade route.
Oh,
and
cute.
So they have to, they're not even going to cover these numbers, they have to cover, and it's got to look like this, when they've got a bingo. So they've got, they're thinking, so each puzzle is different. This one's going to be a basket. Of course, then I tell them they have to use their bingo imagination, because some of them are like, okay, but well, that's what the directions said, so that's what we're going by. So you use your bingo imagination a lot. And at first, people are like, they weren't, because again, it was change, big change. But now I'm like, okay, do you guys want to go back to just a day of just the old way you used to do it, which I don't know what that way was anymore,
Which was blackout.
And we do blackout, and so they're like, no, we like it that way,
So the point is that it's like bingo. Like I remember bingo. I love bingo. Is that we need to stay active, and if you're somebody who is a natural like introvert, like I think I am, try to get out there. And if you're an extrovert, get that buddy out there to help you to go out. Because like you said, you started this lunches out, and now you have 18 people
Yeah.
that are like, yeah, I kind of like this.
Yes.
So that's what the show is about, is getting people to get together.
It is, yes. Well, yeah, because I'm from Ohio, and before I moved here, one of my friends back in Ohio had heard on a radio or something that the adults need to have play dates the same as our children do.
I like that.
And so when she did that, there was four of us close friends that we got together monthly, and we would go out to dinner, and then we would go back to, we'd take turns houses and go back to the house and play cards or whatever and have dessert. Sometimes, we would cook dinner or whatever. But, I did that for, like the 3 years I was back in Ohio before I moved here, because we need to be active and, in that socialization.
And you brought that energy
and
here.
so then, I've tried to just like carry it, it's
I
like we
love
need to have our
that.
play dates, and
I love that. Well, they're lucky to have you living
Yeah,
here, because
so it's-
everybody needs somebody to get them out of their shell and doing stuff. Because
Right.
once you start moving, you keep moving.
you do,
right?
you
Yeah.
do, yes,
Yeah.
and it's, what they say, if you stop, then it's going to all freeze up, and it's like, and I know we had one lady that's, I don't know, she'd been here a year or so, and she's just moving in. We were going to go to lunch like the next day or two. I'm like, oh, you going to go to lunch with us? No, I'm like, you got to eat lunch anyway, so take an hour out and go, So she did. She hasn't missed one since then,
See, I
So it's
love
like,
that.
we got to eat somewhere.
Well,
So
you're nice to
it's,
include people, and
so,
that's what we
but
do.
yeah, I've always remembered that we need our adult play dates the same as the kids need to be active.
I love it.
We don't want to stop, right?
Right. Thanks for joining us for 6 over 60. We'll see you again.